start. I can come on a walk.
Putting you on the spot, you're holding something. All right, we call a meeting to order. We'll salute the flag. Supervisor Quackenbush, will you lead us in the salute?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Here.
That won't put you first.
Supervisor Grieco.
Here.
Supervisor Stark.
Here.
Supervisor Perone. Absent. Supervisor Wheeler.
Here.
Supervisor Chair.
Here.
Supervisor Demeza. Absent. Supervisor Allen.
Here.
Supervisor Walters.
Here.
Supervisor Street.
Present.
Supervisor Coddington.
Here.
Supervisor Quackenbush.
Present.
Supervisor Radzikowski.
Here.
Supervisor Sweet.
Present.
Supervisor Thayer.
Here.
Supervisor Stagliano.
Here.
All right, the statement and purpose of the meeting is resolution number 164, adopting local law number 2 of 2012, local law in relation to the adoption of the county charter for the charter form for the County of Montgomery, State of New York, in accordance with provisions of Article 4 of the Municipal Home Rule Law of the State of New York. There is nothing under other, and then we'll go to adjournment. There's also no public comment. We already had the public comment. Go ahead and resolution. Okay. Resolution number 164. Resolution appointing local law number 2 of 2012, local law in relation with the accordance of Montgomery, or the county charter for County of Montgomery, State of New York, in accordance with provisions of Article 4 of the Municipal Home Rule Law, State of New York. Resolution sponsored by Coddington, second Radzikowski. Discussion. Before we just start discussion, I just want to cover a couple things. First, just so we all understand in the room how this came about, we have a resolution that was talked about a little while ago. The resolution was, I'm just going to read the resolution quick. Resolution establishing, authorizing the appointment of members of the County Charter Commission and appointing funds thereof, or therefore. It was amended, stating resolution establishing and authorizing appointment of members of the County Charter Commission and appropriating funds therefore for the board. And the 3 lines out of this that I'm going to read is, and the further resolved commission shall draft a proposed charter which it shall present to the Board of Supervisors no later than July 15, 2012, is which what was done. Further, that the proposed charter shall include provisions for elected county executive, and further resolved that the commission shall consider whether to transfer legislative functions to a county legislature comprised of legislators elected from districts or to retain Board of Supervisors. Basically, that covers what it is. The time frame and the reason for the special meeting is in order to get it on the ballot. If it passes through the board, it required on the time frame that we have a special meeting tonight, and that's why we're here. That's why we had the public hearing, which was voted on before, and that's why we're here now. I'm going to try to keep this in order. So I didn't see the hands go up, so we'll start that again. Tom's not hand up first, Jeff second, Butch is third, and you're fourth. How'd you like that one? This is a race, and Larry fifth. Let me just write it down.
Should do it like roll call, but that's it.
We're going to roll call or vote, by the way, if there's any amendments.
Could I, Shane, can I speak just for a second?
Yeah, since you're a sponsored resolution, go ahead.
Because I sponsored the resolution, I'd like to make one thing quite clear before we get into the resolution. I want everybody to understand something here. We had a little discussion here between several people after the meeting with the Charter Commission tonight about what happens here. And I just want to make sure that everybody understands. I have the laws right here in my hand, and Doug, if I'm wrong as I'm talking here, please interrupt right away and correct me. But there's a question about whether when this is enacted, if that comes back to the Board of Supervisors. It doesn't. Here's one thing. Every local law contains 4 formal parts, each of which will be separately considered in the order named. 1's the title, 2 is the enacting clause, 3 is the body, 4 is the effective date. When I wrote the resolution, I sent a copy of it to Doug. He emailed me back and said the resolution met all the requirements. He was satisfied with it. Okay, now, the enacting clause is specifically stated in the Municipal Home Rule Law, section 220-2, where it is stipulated that the style of the local law shall be. be it enacted by the name of the governing board as follows. This quoted wording must appear in every local law. Failure to include an enacting clause renders the local law invalid. So keep in mind, you send this to the voters, which I'm totally in favor of. But if you send this to the voters, and if they approve this thing, it becomes law. And when it's filed with the state of New York, it becomes effective January 1st, 2014. So keep that in mind. So if you're a person that you don't want to take a chance with the voters and don't want to see this charter take effect, I would suggest you don't vote for it. But anyway, that's the way it is. So I just want everybody to know that, so they don't think when I'm sponsoring this resolution and I'm not shoving something down their throat that you don't understand. So does everybody understand what I just said?
Yes.
Good.
Roll call.
No, Larry?
I'm done. Thank you very much for letting me go.
When we had the committee meeting between the committee of the whole between us and the commission, I wanted to try to make sure everybody had an opportunity to speak before we go second time around, and I'm going to do the same thing tonight. So for any supervisor that wants to speak, I'm going to put you on the list. If you put your hand up again, I'm not going to call you until we get through everybody that wants to speak the first time. It'll just keep us a little better ordered, so we won't be bantering back and forth, and I really don't want to be bantering back and forth because we have a short time. Also, there was a discussion between Doug and myself here a minute ago. There's a few people who want to amend, but a major redrafting of this, an amendment tonight is not the way to do it. An amendment tonight off the floor that's not written in writing where every one of us could read it, that changes this entire document, is not an amendment we should be doing. Because first of all, it'd be hard for Robin to write each amendment down. So if it's a major amendment that you want that changes this document in its entirety, I don't think it's the place to be doing it. I think it's unfair to the other members of the Board of Supervisors. You would be putting something in front of them that they won't be able to review. You'd be putting something in front of the public after a public hearing that the public will not have a chance to talk on. And I don't believe that's the right way to go. And having that being said, I'm going to start off with Tom.
All right. First, I want to take the opportunity to thank the Charter Commission, all those that are present and aren't. Whether passes, doesn't pass, agree or disagree. We have some citizens that took time out of their lives week after week, and I just commend you for that, and I thank you for it. Clarification purposes, Doug, this may or may not have been explained, but tell me if it's accurate. Larry kind of touched on the process, but for those that may or may not know, and correct me if I'm wrong, once this goes to a ballot, for a vote by the public, it has to not only pass in the city, but it also, could you explain that? Just
Sure. By state law provides that if the Board of Supervisors votes in the affirmative tonight on the local law, and it goes to the electorate, for the local law to be enacted, it has to receive a majority of the votes cast within the city of Amsterdam and a majority of the votes cast within the 10 towns collectively.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, it could actually, I'm just going to throw a hypothetical, pass in all the towns or in the city, have more votes added up,
Yes.
totally, but still fail because the towns or the city failed to vote for it.
That's
So let's just use 20,000 votes as a voter
Yes.
population. 10,000 coming from the city, or 12,000 from the city, and 8,000 from the towns. It fails in the towns, or vice versa. It wouldn't pass.
Well, it would
Even though it
depend
had a majority of
on the
votes.
plurality of the votes. If it, an example would be this. It passed in the 10 towns collectively by 500 votes, but it failed within the city of Amsterdam by 1,000. Well, it would have to, by one vote.
By one vote.
It would still fail. Even though you added all the votes together, it would have passed. And that's not a decision that was made here in Montgomery County.
No, that's the law, but I just want to make sure that, one, the public, who most have stayed for the public hearing, and I, as well as everybody, understands that that's how it works.
It has to be a majority of vote.
Well, no, it has to be a majority from both entities.
That's what I'm saying, a vote.
Okay. I just wanted to...
You all set, Tom? All right, Jeff?
I just want to say, first to my fellow supervisors, I never thought we'd get this far, but you restored my faith. Hopefully that continues tonight, because I've tried to get 6 years to carry me. But this is probably one of the most historic votes in the history of Montgomery County, because it changes our government after many, many years. I do disagree on one point that you made, Mr. Chairman, is that rewriting the entire, I agree with you, rewriting the entire document would not be fair, but modifying the document in accordance with the wishes of what we're hearing from our constituents. For instance, whether or not to keep an elected treasurer or an appointed financial officer. I would agree with the chairman of the commission that the public should decide that vote. I would also suggest that term limits should be decided by the voters. I would favor sending this in forward to the public with 2 separate questions afterwards. Do you want to go to an elected treasurer, keep with that, or go to an appointed treasurer? And would you enact term limits? I think we owe that to the public to have those choices. With that, I'd like to only ask a question of the chairman of the commission. Made a statement before, and I'd like to clarify from him if the recommendation to break that out for elected was solely your opinion. I know the Charter Commission met last night. Is that was that a feeling of the entire commission and a recommendation to us to break it out, or solely your opinion?
It's the consensus of the commission and with a recommendation to you as the board of supervisors.
Thank you. I'm done, Mr. Chairman.
Butch?
Thank you, Chair. One thing I'd like to say is I've already spoke to the commission, but I would love to voice my opinion and my congratulations to the participants of the public that came here today. It's, I think it's a shame really that we didn't get more people here, because this charter is a drastic change from what they had. And I'm going to support this thing to go to the public and have them vote on it. But like I said, I wish more people participated in it, because I don't really think they understand it. Okay, but that's going to be the commission and the supervisors' thing to educate the public a little bit more between now and November. But there is a couple of things that I've got to state. And this is to the media, the recorder, and I want to make sure that the public understands this. They, in the Saturday Recorder, they, in the, I believe it was the editorial, they made a comment about nobody loses anything on this. And this is for information. I'm not criticizing anybody, and like I said, I am going to support this to the public. But they do have to understand a few things. And the Recorder, I think, misunderstood what's happening with this charter. They stated that the city would still have 5 wards. Okay, that's only going to be for the aldermen and for the city. For as far as their legislators are concerned, they're only going to have 3. And anybody here, if they want to correct me, please correct me. But there's only going to be 3 legislators representing the city of Amsterdam. And some of the people in the city of Amsterdam, there will be an overflow in the town of Florida and the town of Amsterdam. Okay, as long as they know that, okay, I want them to be prepared. Okay, so when they come to a legislator, okay, whoever he or she may be, he will have probably 2, sometimes 3 different wards in the city of Amsterdam that he will represent, just so that the public understands it. That's why I wish they were here, so they can understand this. I'm not going to make any amendments at all. I was going to, but I don't think it's fair that myself or anybody else makes amendments other than removing the elected treasurer completely out of the treasurer, leave it alone, and let it stay the way it is. That's my opinion. Like I said, I'm not going to make any appointments or amendments, but there is one other thing I do want to say, okay? And if they read this, and thank you very much, you did read this, and there are an awful lot of points, and I hope that the commission and the media get a copy of this, and you don't have to put the whole thing in a paper, but if they put it in piecemeal and let these people read it, they're going to see the authority of the county executive. And they should know what his authority is. All hiring, all firing, all appointments are his. We're here as a legislative body to make laws, policies, whatever. Okay, that's it. So please be, informed. Anybody that can, inform the public. This is a drastic change. Thank you very much.
Let me finish reading mine. Hi, Mike.
If I could, Chairman, what will be the procedure here? And I do want to offer up an amendment. I don't think it's wrong for me to do that. If it goes down in flames, it does. I have several. What will be the procedure for that?
What we're going to do is you can offer up the amendment, we get a second, and then we'll vote for each amendment.
When you want to do that now, or are you going to let everybody?
You can do it now if you want.
Well, I have
Unless you want
several.
to keep going around for
Mr.
discussion.
Landon informs me I can only do 2.
There can only be 2 amendments pending on a resolution at any given point in
Right.
time. There's no limit as to the
All right.
total number of
Why don't I
amendments.
just offer 2 and see what happens? I'd like to do away in the charter with 4.01 and 4.02, which is reference to the Department of Finance, and just get rid of it and go back to county law and with the elected treasurer.
Does everybody have a copy of the charter from?
Articles, do you want to eliminate supervisor chair?
4.0.
What were the article numbers again?
There are 4.01 and 4.02, which basically
Read the
addresses,
heading of each one if you would.
it addresses the Department of Finance. And I want to go back to what we normally have with the county, which is an elected, and whatever the county law states as far as duties, et cetera, which I have in this notebook.
So you want to strike both of them, 401 and 402?
Yeah, well, there might be something in there which is different, and I'm not an expert on every mechanic of everything, so just to make sure that it just goes back, do away with it.
This is also the recommendation, though, of the...
Well, they want to
They
put it
want to
on as
separate it out.
separate. I want to just, as you said, I don't even want to get to that point. I want to just say goodbye.
I'll second that. Now you can discuss it.
Well, I think that under the circumstance, we've heard a lot here today, I think nobody would even, if they met last night and it says it should be a separate issue, that means there is some concern that it shouldn't have maybe appeared the way it did. I don't want to get into a huge debate on that. I don't see any problem with having elected. I said at the last meeting, there's an issue. People like to have the authority to say how they vote, who they vote for. And it's been working. I don't think it hasn't been working. And rather than continually having everybody appointed, and I have to admit, excuse me, looking at it from another standpoint of the executive, I also have how do you want to do this? I have an amendment on that.
You have a separate amendment each time. It's not an amendment to your amendment. So what we'll do is we'll go by each single amendment.
Okay.
We'll have a discussion on each single amendment, and then we'll have a roll call vote on each amendment.
I feel rather than confuse the issue, let's just end it. Get rid of it.
All right, discussion on the amendment. I get Jeff first, Tom second, Larry third, Bill fourth. Hang on, let me just write that down. All right, hang on, I'm gonna write it down.
Get a flag.
It's all right, I just gotta write it down. I don't want to skip anybody. All right, Larry, or Tom, I mean, it's still Rick, obviously. Tom?
Okay. I don't, I want to support that amendment. I really do. However, I did say to myself before I came here that I was going to support what the charter wanted. Whether they got it all in time, wasn't a huge concern for me, but if they met last night and they were good with this provision, as Vito, as Mike said, I don't have a problem. But I thought I heard something a little bit different than that, meaning that they definitely wanted it to be valid. I think I'm hearing two different things. I want to present, and I want to be their advocate if they really meant they didn't have a problem with it not being valid and put it back like it was. And that, I do want to support that. But if they're totally against that, I'm not going to meddle into what they wanted, whether they got it in on time or not. Well, I thought you asked it, and I thought I heard it, but I'm thinking that they didn't have an issue with this not being on the ballot or anything. That it was okay to just take it out and leave it as it was with the elected treasurer. As is, as always has been. Is that kind of? Or are they
Is that a separate amendment?
They want it valid?
I think you're in agreement with what he said, to take it out? Or the
I am,
discussion
I'm
was
in agreement
have it
with
on
it,
the
but I'm
ballot?
not in agreement with me personally going against what the charter commission has asked for. And if they're adamant that it goes valid,
The
then I'm gonna leave
discussion
it the way
was,
they.
the discussion was definitely to ballot it separately, but I didn't hear anybody say eliminate it altogether. It was ballot it separately.
No, that's not what he's saying.
We have Mike's amendment is to remove it completely, not ballot it separately.
Right.
His is just to wipe it right
Can
completely
I
out.
ask for a clarification?
Sure.
Are you,
In this case, yeah.
Dusty, is the commission okay with taking it out completely and leaving it as it was? Or they definitely got to have this balloted? Is that a?
I don't think we're adamant that,
Pretty long one.
feel free to speak.
I don't
think we're adamant if the Board of Supervisors says, let's just take it out and avoid the whole issue. I think that's fine.
Then I'm good with it.
If I may, there are additional references not found in 4.01.
To the position.
4.02 that need to be changed.
Which would have to be stricken as well.
Well,
They would have to be stricken as well. We'll have to go through and stricken all other existing ones.
I just wanted to point that out.
You okay, Tom?
Yeah, just as long as, my votes tonight on amendments, how many they come, are because it's what the Charter Commission really feels they wanted. They may not have had enough time to express what they wanted because of the time constraints, and after listening to different supervisors and things, and if they're good with it, I want to go with what their recommendations are, and as long as they're recommending and saying they're fine with it, I'm fine with it. Because I want to do what the commission was set out to do, and that's, they're good with that, I'm good with that.
All set?
Yep.
Jeff?
In light of what was just said, because that was one of the things I was going to point out, is there are other references. I'd like to yield my time to Supervisor Coddington, because I think he may have a solution to that with the language.
If it'll help.
First of all, I think, and once again, just follow along here. If you see me saying something not correct, please interrupt me, bug in, or stop me. Okay. I believe to abolish an elected position, as in the proposed charter, a local law and mandatory referendum is required. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Okay. The proposed charter, as written in front of us, without any amendments, provides for that. Because if you go vote on that, you're voting to eliminate the county treasurer and have an appointed financial officer. The local law is in place, and it's there, you're voting on it. But the options you have, of course, one, don't change anything. Leave the charter just as it was presented to us by the commission. Two, you amend the change to the charter to replace financial officer with elected treasurer. You delete all references to the education requirements and any other references to the commissioner of finance in that entire document, just delete it. And I have the language here for that right in front of me, which I'm not going to read the whole. I can read you just I'll just read you a few lines up here so you understand. This is what would be: the county treasurer shall be elected from the county at large beginning in 2013 for a term of 4 years commencing on the first day of January immediately following his or her election. At the time of his or her election and throughout his or her term of office, the county treasurer shall be a qualified elector of the county. The county treasurer and all full-time managerial employees in the department shall serve on a full-time basis and shall not engage in any private practice nor be employed in their field of expertise with the county by any private or governmental entity. Now, the third option, and this would have to be done through the charter, is if you want it if you don't put this out to a separate ballot, you almost have to do another local law, another public hearing, I believe, if you want to eliminate. Am I correct, Doug? You want to put two things on the ballot.
If you want to have two things on the ballot,
Yes. They're two separate items.
well, it would be two separate, yeah, it would be two
Yeah, and you're
separate.
ballot, because you're abolishing an office, that's what so you have to have another public hearing, another local law, and so on, which your timeline is way beyond that. So the other option you have, and I'll read this and then anybody can comment on it whatever they want. The other option you have is to amend the charter as follows. The governing body of Montgomery County, that would be the county legislature when it took office, may, through local law and mandatory referendum, provide either an elected treasurer or an appointed financial officer. Term of either individual would be 4 years. And that would be what you were doing then. You'd be turning this over to a new county legislator. If they wanted elected county treasurer, the county treasurer, whoever, Sean, or whoever it may be, was elected, they'll continue right on that job. Or if they want to do away with that job and have an appointed financial officer, then they can go through the local law, public hearing, mandatory referendum thing to do that. That's the three options I believe you have. Now I'm going to let Doug work on that.
Well, I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think we need to know which direction the board wants to go.
Exactly.
But the point of it is he has if we were to pass Supervisor Chair motion, he already has the language written
Yeah, I have
with
the
all the
language.
addendums. So it doesn't have to, he's read it, the change is there, the amendment.
Yeah, you can certainly do that. You're keeping it within this local law. You're just changing the.
That's correct. That can be done through this local law and through the ballot in November.
And
Yeah, it's
based on
done
that, I
now
would
before the resolution is adopted, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm assuming. I've read so much law here, municipal law and everything, I'm caught with my mind, I'm not an attorney, so that's the way I read it. So you agree with that synopsis? Okay.
Yes.
Okay,
No, said Larry?
I think I'm all, I'll just have some more comments when we get ready to vote on the law, but that's all I have now.
Yes. Jeff, you didn't want to say, you done?
I'll support Supervisor Chair's amendment.
I have Bill next. John?
Okay, two things. One of them has been covered of sorts. I don't believe that you can eliminate the language throughout the charter. I think that you have to substitute wherever you come up with a commissioner of finance. You have to insert treasurer.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're leaving a lot of blanks, and even less gets done than supposedly gets done now. One other question that I have for Doug. Our current treasurer was elected to serve a term until 2015. Can this charter eliminate his office and substitute a commissioner because his term has not been fulfilled?
It could, if you proceed the way it is.
Okay. I just wanted clarification on that, that's all. All right, thank you. That's all I have, Chair.
Barb?
No, thanks, thank you.
Anybody else on the amendment? Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I just heard, I think Supervisor Stark say that this is one of the biggest votes in the county's history. While I am totally in agreement with what just happened, we really need to know what that language is. We just can't say, well, we're going to insert it and take this out. I've been through that before. I don't care if I got to sit here till 2 in the morning to make sure that, Doug, you have the language for us or the sponsors have it, because you really need to have what you're voting on in front of you. And I'm not trying to throw a monkey wrench in it. I'll sit here till 3 o'clock in the morning. I know you provided it, Larry, but you need to read it. We need to have Doug read it. We need to make sure that it's very clear.
Yeah.
And as Supervisor Thayer said, what needs to be deleted out, what needs to be put in. You can't just have a hole and then say we'll fix it later, because that's just not fair to the people.
That wasn't part of his amendment anyway.
No, I'm saying, it needs to, we need to do this right, is what I'm saying.
What Mike proposed and what Larry proposed are two different things, correct?
That's what
Two different things.
You all set, Tom?
Yeah, if I don't either see
I
it
think
in
we're
front
gonna
of me
get
or
that.
hear it read in front of me and have it, voice recorded on a beautiful camera there,
I think
I'm not gonna vote for it.
the actual issue here is that Mike is a sponsor, Dominic is the second, Larry has language. I think the language needs to come to either lawyer or Mike, and Mike needs to pick it out and read it to make sure it meets what he wants to change. And I would feel more comfortable with that, and I don't know how we're gonna get, there is plenty of wording I have marked down on paper, but I don't know how we're gonna get through it, but I want all the wording included. So if we could do that, just to make it clarified, if you have the language,
Clarify it. You just can't take something like this.
we need it spelled out. I don't think we should just wing it.
We've won it before.
I want to make sure that what Mike has asked for in his amendment matches what he has in front of him.
Chair, I have one
Removal
question.
of- Yeah, while you're reading, go ahead.
I have one question. Mike, are you referring to option 2? Option 1 was to leave it in. Option 2 was to take it out.
Take it out.
Option 3 was
To take it out.
Because we don't have time
any
for option
reference to it, no matter where it appears in this document.
So Larry,
just
he's
delete.
talking about
I mean,
option
that to
2
me is
that
very
you said,
simple.
correct?
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
And then that covers everything.
Correct.
And you revert back to what is already in place.
Correct.
But Larry has language.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I
The
asked.
language needs to come forth, not just
I
say
agree.
no do-over.
Right.
There's no do-over.
Yeah.
It needs to come forth and be presented.
There's your language issue right before.
Well, that's right. Well, that's on page 2. This is the new language. That's changed.
No, you want it, all right, that's not the new language.
The new language
Under
is in
Department of Finance,
The
that's
new
what he's
language
got.
is in there. You go to those pages, you'll see that.
And he said these pages here, reference, why can't you just have broad base, wherever it refers to that, it refers to that.
All
That
references
makes
to
it,
the
that's simple,
president
what's there to know?
Agreed. And also, there's several pages in there where a lot of stuff that John was referring to there. Just take it out. You're reverting back to what you're doing, you're reverting back to the system you had
The
right
system
now.
we had.
Absolutely no changes from what you have right now.
Correct.
The
And
town-
you just
the
heard
town
something.
treasurer is just exactly what it does now.
You just heard something very interesting. The people did vote for that gentleman back there to a certain year. Now you're basically saying, we're saying, in fact, and maybe nobody's gonna understand this, and that's gonna affect a lot of people. Let's just not even have that controversy. He's there,
I guess not.
doing a good job, let him stay there. Let's just get rid of this and stop the controversy. And let's not have thousands of pages of this and everything else, because I've got a lot of
This
amendments.
term runs on 2000.
Again, I want it clarified and
Well, Doug had, where did Doug?
This term runs on
just needs to read the language so it's on our recording.
Did not the commission come out and say that they wanted a financial officer? Finance commissioner.
He just asked that. He just asked
We
that.
made a political change, though.
I'm questioning, he just asked that.
They did, and then they changed their mind tonight.
Chair?
There's gonna be more changes further.
Chair,
It's just,
I request
I'm
a
going-
short recess.
I'm going through a list right now.
Try to get their language
Let's
together.
just, we don't need to recess. I'm going through it right now. They can do it all, because I'm going through a list right now. We'll just keep right going. There's tons of them. We've got 7 already. While they're talking about the language, I'm gonna add the numbers in. They wanted to, now they're going
Just so that we're on the same page. When you go to amend, you can only offer 2 amendments. So let's say you amended it to this, and I amended it to that. Right? You have to vote on mine first, then yours. Right? And then you can bring up a whole new amendment. So when he said, when they meant 2, don't offer up 2 amendments at the same time. 1 amendment.
All right, just quick, while they're discussing that, Mike, if you want to listen to this, Really quick, just follow our discussion at section 7.03-3, section 7.03-4, section 7.03-5-5C, section 7.03-B2, 703-B3, 7.8, so are all listed under the Finance Commissioner. All those would have to be stricken, so that's replaced with the county treasurer. Again, the list would be 7.03-3, 7.03-4, 7.03-5, 7.03-5C, 7.03-B2, 7.03-B3, and 7.08. And that's only going from the financial control forward. That's not ahead of that in any place, because I don't think it's listed ahead of that.
No, it isn't.
So those were the sections that would have to be added to the amendment to make it work. Yeah, and also Mike, on your amendment, it would also, after listing those numbers, it would have to be in, it would have to say and any further reference would have to be on there.
I agree.
Do you have language now?
Basically saying that, I think to make it very simple, you're basically saying that in here, it doesn't exist, it's gone, and we had never really existed. I mean, that's.
But we are changing the charter, so it has to be.
I know that,
right.
what I'm saying in effect is anything that's referenced to that is gone.
Do you have the wording?
Whatever Doug, he's the attorney.
Yeah.
The wording of the amendment?
The wording of the amendment? Yeah.
This doesn't put it to the
Yeah, we should read it out.
Okay, all right. This is what Supervisor Coddington had, and you'd still keep Article 4 as the Department of Finance, and you would have 4.01, County Treasurer. The County Treasurer shall be elected from the county at large, beginning, we're going to make a change, January 1st, 2016, for a term of 4 years commencing on the first day of January, immediately following his or her election. Well, no, then what we're going to do is change beginning, we're going to change beginning in 2015 for a term of 4 years commencing on the first day of January immediately following his or her election. At the time of his or her election and throughout his or her term of office, the county treasurer shall be a qualified elector of the county. B, the county treasurer and all full-time managerial employees in the department shall serve on a full-time basis and shall not engage in any private practices nor be employed in their field of expertise with the county by any private or other governmental entity. 4.02, county treasurer powers and duties. The county treasurer shall have and exercise all the powers and duties now or hereafter confirmed or imposed by state law and shall perform such additional and related duties imposed upon him by local law. And additionally, it would provide for a reference of all subsequent references to the Commissioner of Finance position in the charter with the term county treasurer. You have the list. We can include the list, but I would still advise a catch-all that says and any further references in case that list turns out to not be all-encompassing.
It's not. I probably missed it really quickly.
I
have
just
7.
found 3 of them that you didn't even have listed, so.
Okay. So do you have the numbers?
If you say all subsequent, there are no references to it prior to Article 4.
No.
So if you say all subsequent references, you're probably better off not listing the specific sections, actually. All subsequent references to the county, to the Finance Commissioner would be replaced with county treasurer.
Thank you.
Butch, did you have your hand up a minute ago?
No, it was answered. I wanted to know if it was going to be option 2 or not. I'm set.
Just, I remember in Larry's document there, the budget officer goes to the county executive, the elected executive. That would be Article 7. I just wanted to make sure you do that too.
Okay, the term county executive is obviously not Commissioner of Finance, so unless you have a subsequent amendment, that would not be the
Yeah,
case.
we wouldn't have changed that.
He's on the executive, he's still be the budget officer, not the treasurer.
That's,
Not the treasurer.
Okay.
It's listed as a budget, as executive in here.
Okay.
Anybody else? Tom?
Doug, did you say Article 4's title would remain Department of Finance?
I don't see that it would have to change, but if you want to change it.
My suggestion would be to do what we have in the case of every other elected position, such as county sheriff, it says county sheriff, such as coroner, it says coroner, county clerk, it says county clerk, district attorney, it says, why wouldn't we say,
Change the title of treasurer?
well, because then we really haven't changed anything. Why would we change the title and have everything back to treasurer? Why wouldn't you say county treasurer, just like it does, it says county clerk? Well, it's semantics, but it's true intent, so 30 years from now, people aren't arguing over it, that's what they're, why did they change? Well, they must have wanted a finance department or a commissioner, because that's what the title is left as. I can hear that argument in 20 years. Change it to county treasurer, exactly what it is.
Mike, you're good with that?
Doug, do you see any conflict? I don't see any conflict.
No.
No.
You're good with it, and the second's good with it.
Dominic?
So we've read pretty much basically the amendment, everybody understands the amendment? And you read the title, everybody's good with it? Bill, did you have something to go over?
I passed.
Okay. My only comment on the whole thing is that I firmly believe that we shouldn't be modifying the document. I'm going to say this every time, because we are going to look like the bad guys. And the thing I did notice is that the change in the finance commissioner came after Butch said that he heard it at McDonald's, it would never pass. And I've heard the commission go from strongly opinion on it to a lesser opinion on it to a while ago saying it should be up to the voters and now to eliminating it. So I find it interesting. If everybody's good, there's no more questions, we're going to vote on the amendment. It's going to be a roll call. Tom?
I mean, just for clarification, I did ask the question, and there is a difference between us meddling with it and then saying that they're good with it. Because I agree 100% with you, Shane, that we shouldn't do to it what they don't want. But I just heard them say they're good with it. That's the only reason I'm supporting it. I want to be very clear on that.
Okay. Bill, set? All right.
So this does not put it to the voters, this just changes
It
it?
is no longer put to the voters, it's like
Okay,
completely out.
thanks.
Roll call.
Supervisor Chiara?
Aye.
Supervisor Allen?
Aye.
Chairman Walters?
No.
Supervisor Strebe? Supervisor Coddington?
Aye.
Supervisor Quackenbush?
Aye.
Supervisor Radzikowski?
No.
Supervisor Sweet?
No.
Supervisor Thayer?
No.
Supervisor Stagliano?
Aye.
Supervisor Greco?
Aye.
Supervisor Stark?
Aye.
Supervisor Wheeler?
No.
The motion to amend is failed.
Mike, you had another one?
I'll pass.
Anybody else? In hearing, no, is there no one else? All right, comments on the resolution as amended?
It's not amended.
Oh, it's not
It's not
amended.
amended.
That's right. Didn't we vote on that? Yeah, that's what, now any comments on the resolution? That's right, it wasn't, it failed. Now we'll go back to comment on the
What was the
resolution.
vote? What was the vote? What was the total?
We have two absent, 364 votes.
You have a total there?
That's right.
Well, I won't pass this.
Not to back it up. Oh, I know that counts so easy now. It's every week. The only two, I'm probably wrong on the count.
I gave two, 160 now.
What she gave me.